How are you today? See, for a long time, I felt I wanted more than what was around me, and I wasn't sure exactly how to get it or exactly how I felt inside. And I'm sure Trish probably feels the same way. Not that I want to speak for
Definitely.
Trish,
Definitely. Definitely. Definitely.
but at some point in our lives, we both had a paradigm shift that helped alter the paths, our paths for the better. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. Have you ever actually heard of a paradigm shift, Trish?
I've heard of a what?
Paradigm shift.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Yes. Well, I know I didn't. Actually, not until a couple months
Well,
ago.
recently. Yeah, recently. Probably
Yeah,
within the last couple of years. Yeah.
exactly. And
Mhm.
I actually found out about this from Jon Talarico, a mentor of mine that I'm actually happy to say we actually have him on the show. He's backstage, but let me go ahead and read a little bit of his bio. John is widely regarded as one of the top business mindset and networking coaches in the world. He teaches his clients how to build and create the exact relationships they need to connect to their dreams, their message, and their marketplace. For the last decade, he has studied the science of achievement, having been personally mentored by the legendary Les Brown. He is currently the host of the Millionaire in You podcast, dedicated to helping people uncover their inner greatness.
Mhm.
He has worked with some of the world's most powerful celebrities, influencers, thought leaders, millionaires, and dare I say, billionaires, all looking for ways to use the power of connection to create the life of their dreams. He has also devoted himself to other causes such as being a big brother, volunteering for free arts for abused children, and also volunteering for the Starkey Hearing Foundation, which gives the gift of free hearing aids around the globe. And of course, he's also a father of two beautiful children. And as I said earlier, he is one of my living mentors. Let's go ahead and bring up Jon Talarico. How are you feeling, my friend?
I am great, Jay. Thank you so much. Trish, great to be here, both of you. Super excited. I heard those two magical words, paradigm shift, in that introduction, Jay.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. For a long time, I know I was trying to change my world, change my life, and I didn't realize exactly what a paradigm shift is. So, John, if you don't mind indulging me for a second, could you please let the audience know how do you define a paradigm shift?
Sure. Paradigms are just our mental habits. They're a set of mental habits that are habitual, and most of our behavior is habitual. The way you get up in the morning, the side of the bed that you get off the bed on, the way you put your socks on, the way you get dressed, the way you have your breakfast. We are conditioned to become creatures of habit. And so what we have to realize when we go to change our mindset, Jay and Trish, is that we have these mental paradigms, these programs that have already pretty much been installed in us. Most of what we do is run from the stuff that we learned when we were 5, 6, 7 years old.
Mhm.
So we need to have a paradigm shift if we're going to have lasting change. That's why I've been very guilty of it for years. I go to seminars, you guys know, you go and you get
Yeah.
excited. Trish, I'm sure you call in Jay, say Sunday night, look out Monday morning, Jay, I'm on fire. This was it. And then he's like, all right, Trish, I'm with you. And then by Thursday, Jay can't find Trish anymore, right? And so the seminar comes back the next year. Trish calls Jay again. Jay's like, all right, Trish. And so we don't get lasting change because why? Because we're not dealing with the root cause, which is our paradigms. We
Mhm.
have to replace those and override those with new paradigms, ones that are from a different mindset, a different place of a basically a new model I like to talk about, Jay, is
Hmm.
where you can think your way into results. And that model consists of using something pretty much very few of us ever get to learn, which is our higher mental faculties. We have six of the greatest gifts we've ever been gifted that separate us from the animal kingdom. And we've been so programmed to live from our five senses, what we see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. That's why the old model is we cause our thinking based on our results that we see. People see debt, they get a phone call, someone's looking for money,
Hmm.
causes us to think a certain way. We actually have to shift our paradigm and know that we can now choose our own original thoughts, or as this, whatever you, doesn't matter. Everyone can disagree about the before and after, but while we're here to do great things and have a good time, right?
Mhm.
But we can actually decide what thought we're going to choose. And when you have the awareness to understand what paradigms are, and the paradigms pretty much run your life, then you can now start to work to change those. And actually, For all your listeners, did not know you were going to start with that, Jay. I keep this on my desk. It is a paradigm shift, and this is the key. This is the secret to getting whatever you want. If you can understand that, and that I got from my mentor Bob Proctor, the stick person, right?
Yeah.
Have to change our thinking, and the only way to do that is to we need an image first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you know, both Trish and Jay, we think in pictures, and no one's ever seen the mind, right? You tell somebody you need to change your mind, and they look at you like they have to work on their brain, but that brain is no more than your mind than is your finger.
Yeah.
The mind, we've never seen it, and so we need an image. Where there's no image, there's confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And so, thankfully, in 1932 or so, Dr. Thurman Fleet, he was a chiropractor. He said, we have a problem in the healing arts. We're treating the symptoms and not the causes.
Yeah.
And so when he came up with that diagram you just saw there, the stick person, we can now start to understand on a very basic level, our conscious thinking and our subconscious mind, and then now start to understand paradigms and how we can change those.
Would you say, I think before I started learning about paradigm shifts and, I wanted to make a change in my life, there's so many of us before that we started to make this change, we all think it's about discipline. But once I started looking at it as a lifestyle change, it's not about having discipline. It's actually about changing your lifestyle. That's when you actually start to see change. And I think a lot of people get, so super confused, or they're like, what are you talking about, this paradigm? They think it's something so, oh my word, out of the box. But really and truly, it's just changing your lifestyle. Whatever lifestyle you had before is actually changing for the better. Like that, to me, that when that was simplified for me, that made a big difference for me.
It is really simple, and yet we complicate it so much, Trish, right?
Yeah.
And I believe it all goes back to I talked about this last night. I call them the 4 Ds, right? First thing you need to do is you have to find that desire. What is it that
Mm-hmm.
that burning desire? What is it you want to do?
Yeah.
And then you have to make a decision. You have to make a committed decision that no matter what, anything to do with your outside environment, or what I call it the committee that speaks to you and tries to keep you safe, Jay knows, make a committed decision. You have to have a definite chief aim in life, right? As
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill says, you need a definite purpose, definite chief aim in life.
Yeah.
And then you need to get moving. And then I believe the fourth one is discipline, where you have to be willing to recognize the paradigms as they creep up, because you're going somewhere you've never gone before, Trish, and that's going to make us very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We have that built-in cybernetic mechanism, just like an aircraft, right? And so we have to be able to program it. And so you can program it for failure, or you can program it for success. See, your subconscious mind doesn't care. So what I teach people to do, and what we do every week, thing I teach with Mr. Brown, with Les Brown, is we teach people to put in their success coordinates. Where is it that you want to go? Don't worry about the how. And let's just go. And you don't worry about the how. The how is not your business. And then people get very uncomfortable. They hit the terror barrier, right? And the old paradigms, mental habits creep up that start talking to you, saying, you can't see how this is going to happen. So let's go back to where it's safe. And yet, Jay and Trish, all the great movements in life, all the great inventions, everything over the course of human history all happened because somebody was willing to think for themselves and not listen to anything on the outside.
They were willing to be uncomfortable, and that's the thing, right?
Yes, exactly.
And it's funny, John, you're talking about, I have this big smile on my face right now because everything you're saying, I remember when you were talking to me way back when, and I'm like, I just don't understand, John. So I tend to wonder, when you're trying to change the mindset of the clients that you've had, what are some of the misunderstandings or the struggles that you see people have the most?
Well, the first one I just mentioned, Jay, is people get so focused on, I have to know how it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, so I can't take that leap of faith, right? I don't believe we grow wings on the way down. They're already there, right? It's just we need sometimes the dust to blow off. So it's recognizing that they have to either choose fear or faith in every moment, but not blind faith, unwavering faith, to know that they're created in God's image, right? That while we're here, everyone can disagree about, like I said earlier, the theologians, the philosophers, the scientists, and everyone can disagree about, all of that stuff. They all agree on one thing: we become what we think about. And so we have to learn to manage and control our thinking. When you can master your mind and control your thoughts and feelings and emotions, then you will see that you can create new action and then cause everything's based on law, new reactions.
Yeah.
So, second thing I think is most people don't believe when I tell them, Jay, set a goal. What is it that you really would love to do? Not what you think you can get, but what is it that you really truly want, that burning desire? Most people don't have goals. And you'll find one out of 100 maybe that have it written down on a card, right? All my clients have a goal card written down. They all love Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, right? They'll all raise their hand, greatest book ever. And yet, Napoleon Hill tells you, I believe, almost 100 times in that book, the exact formula to get whatever you want. And so most people don't believe that they are worthy of it, which goes to number 3. Most people have a self-image issue. I call it an issue or challenge. I did for decades, for years, not thinking that I was worthy, maybe based on some things that happened in my childhood, that living with shame. And so we have to understand that we have 2 self-images, the one that we project to the outside world. Both you and Trish, you guys are everything is under control, right? You're very calm. You move with a calmness through life, and people want something done. I can just tell by looking at both of you, it'll get done. You only have to ask once. But then we have this other image. We have the self-image that lives with us on our inside, the self-talk. What do we tell ourselves? And maybe it's, come on, Jay, come on, Trish, you know you can do more. You have the ability and capability to do more. What are you doing? And so we have to recognize. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying self-worth is so huge. It plays such a huge role in the way we talk to ourselves, because I know that little voice in my head, I've talked to myself worse than anyone's ever talked to myself. And that can just be such a huge impact on how you live your life.
Absolutely.
It is, I believe, the root cause of pretty much why people don't achieve their goals and dreams, or even they don't even go after them, because they don't believe it. They don't think they're worthy. So I spend decades suffering in silence, right? And I don't want other people to have to do that. So what do? I always tell them, look, let's work on your self-image. First thing I want you to do is see yourself as the person you wish to become. Pick characteristics of the person or persons that you want to be like. And then, I didn't know we were going to go this way either, but I have them all create a self-image vision board, right? Dr. King, Bob Proctor, and
Muhammad. Is that Muhammad Ali there?
It is the greatest, right? And the greatest. Don't hate me, Jay. I had Mr. Brady in there, so
no hate, never no hate towards you, John. And I love that. I've heard of a vision board before, but I've never heard of a self-image board, and I love that. I got to incorporate that into my my daily routines. But John, there's a story that I remember that you share often with our Les Brown group, and I wonder if you'd be willing to share it now. It's a story about you meeting a speaker. My apologies for not remembering
actually,
the speaker's
no
name.
problem. He's on the board, Jay. Bob Proctor.
Yes.
And this to all your listeners who sometimes I talk about the power of connection, right? First, most important thing, connect to the right kind of thinking.
Yeah.
Second thing, you have to connect to that burning desire, that goal. And then the third thing I talk about, you want to connect to the right kind of network. So a lot of people always say, well, I don't know anyone. Well, I grew up in Flint, Michigan. I won't, bore you with that story, but yeah, that Flint, Michigan. And if I can build a network like the one I have now, I know anyone can. So I realized I needed to change my life because I was not happy. Jay, Trish I've been fired from every job. I'd have a lot of ups and downs, start, stop, and all this stuff. I went to the Paradigm Shift, a 2.5-day seminar that was by Bob Proctor. I had seen Bob in The Secret. I had read some of his things, followed some of his videos, and his message about being able to think your way into results really resonated with me because I knew that it was possible. I know that we're here to do something, all of us, something great. And so I went to that seminar. I sat in the back row, and somehow after 2 days, I said, I'm going to have a relationship with this man and be in his inner circle and somehow form a relationship with Bob. Now, I had no idea how I was going to do it. I did not have the 150, 250,000 to work with him one-on-one. He doesn't even take people. He's got everything he needs. He's at the top of his industry.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there thinking, what can I do to build a relationship to get him to even notice me? And that's where I'll go back to our 6 higher mental faculties, right? And one of them is, the greatest one we have is our imagination, the ability to dream, the ability to just see and build a fantasy in our mind. So as I sat there for it was 2.5 days, this man Trish played one song for 2.5 days, one song only. Every break, every lunch break, bathroom break, returning from the break, good evening, good morning. It was one song. It's going to be a bright, bright, sunshiny day, right? I can
Mhm.
see clearly now the rain is gone. So by Sunday, that song had been beaten into me. I said, this means something to him. It has to, right? And so what did I do? I go where we all go when we want information, right? I didn't Google, and I looked up Johnny Nash sang that song. He's still living,
Mhm.
but he was a recluse. Doesn't hasn't hadn't been in public in 30 some years. There's no website, no social media, no contact information. This is where you have to be willing to do whatever it takes, be persistent. I kept looking page after page after page in Google. I found some kind of court document on some motocross, facility that he had in Houston, Texas. There was a phone number in there, and I called it. I believe it was his wife. And I said, ma'am, sorry to bother you, but Bob Proctor is a huge fan of your husband's. He's turning 80. If I mailed you an album, would you get Johnny to sign it, please? And she said, sure, send it to this address. Now, all your listeners, when you have an opening and an opportunity,
Take it.
is not the time to be cheap. Is
Yeah.
not the time to be lazy.
Mhm.
I made sure I bought that, album off of eBay, I think for $5. I sent the return cardboard package to send it back. I sent the postage. I sent even the piece of tape. There was a pen in there, marker in there. What else was in there? Just a letter to what to do.
Mhm.
And sure enough. And guess what happened? 6 weeks, I'm waiting. I'm like, called the number again, never received it. So I had to do the whole thing twice. I don't know, it got lost or something happened. Finally, I got it back the second time. And I put a plaque in there, Jay, on the bottom. It said, Bob, thank you for helping me see clearly now, Jon Talarico. Bob still has no clue who I am. And then at his next seminar, I just dropped it off at the front of the hotel, said, deliver this to Mr. Proctor's seminar. And I left. An hour later, his son hunted me down from some mutual friends and asked, my father would like you to come back, please, to the seminar. Bob brought that up on stage, framed, pointed me out. And from that moment, uh, that now hangs on his wall in Toronto.
Mhm.
I am now one of his consultants. I work for Bob's organization as a consultant, teaching thinking into results. There's around 2,300 of us around the world, and I'm one of his top 3 consultants and coaches. And so you just never know. That's why I tell everyone, don't worry about how it's going to happen. Just know that it's going to happen. And
It's
so,
just
yeah,
about
thanks.
the
I love that story, Jane. Bob tells that story quite often.
Well, I love the first time I heard that story, I immediately fell in love with it and I connected with it so much because one of the things that you always teach us is, as you're saying, don't worry about the how, just act. Just go ahead and step out on faith and just do it. Just go. And I love that story.
I took away a lot from that because I think I'm one of those who worry a lot about how am I going to do this. And when I started my podcast, it's like, how am I going to start this? Can I really do this? And I think if I didn't worry about the how, I probably would have started maybe 2, 3 years ago instead of just last year.
Yes, of course, Trish.
Yeah.
I took 4 years to launch a course I didn't even want to launch. Why? Because, and that's the other thing, we so often try to do other things that we think people want us to do rather than doing what we would truly love to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd encourage all of your listeners to, one, figure out what it is that you want to do. Set a goal. The
Mm-hmm.
only prerequisite for a goal is that you have to want it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. It can be anything. Everything's already here in one form or another, right? The way that we're talking here on this call, I'm in Atlanta, and it's always been here, right?
Yeah.
The airplane, the cell phone, that has always been here. It's just that we didn't have the awareness. So when you recognize how powerful and magnificent you are, you start to develop the awareness to know that you can change your paradigms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And decide now what is it that you truly want. And then we set a goal. And then we take massive daily action and go after it. And actually, I'm a big follower of Neville Goddard. For those of you who don't know, the book, The Power of Awareness. And Goddard was one of the main thought leaders in the early 19th century who talks about the power of awareness and the power of your assumptions and living from the end. So you want to be able to figure out what is it that you truly want and then know that it's already done. See yourself
Mm-hmm.
as a person with the wish fulfilled. It's not fake it till you make it at all. It's moving with that calmness of mind, that certainty that it's already done. Why? Because everything's always created twice, right? Once in the mind, and then we take certain action, You get what you want, not by doing certain things, but by doing things in a certain way.
Hmm.
And then all based on universal law, God's law. Everything you're
Yeah.
seeking is seeking you, right? The law of cause and effect.
Yeah. I'm listening to you, John, and I listen to a lot of the people that you guys speak about. And going back a couple of years, I would listen, and I'm like, yes, I can do this. You guys are just so empowering, and you make me think that I can get up and just do this tomorrow morning. But one thing that I've realized over the years is that it takes a lot of work, and I think a lot of people just think, just by hearing people speak or reading these books, oh, you can get up in a week or two and this is all
Sure.
fine and dandy. But even for me, after a few years, and Jay, we spoke about this, it's every day I have to get up and consciously say, this is going to be my life, this is how I want it to be, and make that mindful effort to live it that way.
Yes. It's so important, Trish and Jay, that we want to develop, we have to develop a daily success ritual. And what I eventually will get even you to say, Trish, is it does not have to be hard. There's another chapter in this book, Power of Awareness. I
Mhm.
want you to get it, Trish. It
Okay.
talks about the effortless way. And in
Hmm.
that, Goddard said, look, everything has already been created. And so what it comes down to is the power of your assumptions. What do you assume?
Yeah.
If we assume that it's hard to get what we want, if we
Hmm.
assume that I want to be a motivational speaker, but I need all kinds of training, I want to be a coach, but I have to have all kinds of things on my wall. Yes, it will take a long time. Jay's heard me speak. I believe we can collapse time and move very quickly if we change our thinking.
Yeah.
And most people, Trish, that they allow the committee to override, and they live in those
Hmm.
old paradigms where they think that they've been so programmed and told, what are we told in school? Here's what we call information, right?
Hmm.
But that's more like research, right? We go and we read stuff, and then if we know a certain amount of it on a certain day, they tell us you're going to be an astronaut, fireman, or police officer, or a nurse, whatever, on a certain day. That's not the kind of information that people need these days.
Yeah.
They need understanding and knowledge from the ideas that we teach, that you guys are doing on this show, that
Hmm.
you can actually change your life that quickly by changing your thinking, setting a goal,
Hmm.
not worrying about the how, but then a big piece, Trish, accountability. We have to be
Yeah.
accountable. That's your insurance policy to success. And so I encourage all my clients. We have a daily accountability group where they check in every day. And it's not to make anyone feel bad. It's simply an awareness exercise. Why? Because the results will always tell who's doing the work.
Hmm. Yeah,
Who's
I
doing
think
the
that I think that if I was being held accountable for half the things that I do, I would be a little more successful. But that's the thing, that I think accountability is
Well,
huge.
I just want to introduce you right now to your brand new accountability partner. You found him is
Yeah.
at
Oh no,
Finding J.
he's been holding me accountable. So
But and Trish, it took me decades to get here, and that's
oh
why
yeah.
when I speak and I share my story, I want to let people know that there's hope. Right, hope is here,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have to take you that long if you just understand how these things work. Right,
Yeah.
and it all starts back to what you opened the show with: understanding your mental thinking and the paradigms that run your life.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And John, I'm wondering because every time I hear you speak, I'm just, for lack of better words, I'm in awe because I see you're already at a point, and I know that you have mentioned that it took you years to get there, but you're already here, right? How do you keep learning? How do you keep getting better at what you do and not leveling and plateauing off?
That's the other challenge is, right. We get to a certain level, and then you can get complacent or we get comfortable. That's why it goes back to you always have to be setting a goal. And when we set goals normally that we think we can achieve, and we get there and we realize we should have set them here. But this journey that we're here in called life, it's a school, right? And it's always open. And we're here to master certain lessons, and we're here to create. So we always want to be, what does Earl Nightingale say success is? A progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And so we want to keep moving forward, keep achieving goals, but realize that we have one thing that we're here to do, and that is to change and impact the world with the special gift that we've been given. Now, back to what you mentioned, Jay. My life, if you look at it from the outside, was great. Over the years, been able to travel the world. We work with people like Akon, Damon John, had a beautiful office in the Empire State Building, millionaires and billionaire people. And yet on the inside, Jay, I was not happy. I was very unhappy.
Hmm.
And I put on that, smile on the outside, but I was sitting here year after year wondering when was I going to have the courage to pursue my dream and goal, which was to teach. I've always wanted to teach. I went to school to be a teacher in college. I studied history so I could be a history teacher. And then what happened? As so many of us do, we listen to the outside noise. Teachers don't make any money. Why would you want to do that? You love math. So what I do, I went and got an MBA in finance and proceeded to get fired. 1 year ago, a little bit over 1 year ago, I made a decision with all the stuff that I was doing with Les Brown and all these other people, everything got canceled. And I said, I need to do something. What am I going to do? I want to do what I love. And I made a committed decision that I was going to call Bob Proctor and tell him I wanted to be part of his organization and be one of his consultants. And so that's why when I say your life can change like that and you can move with rapid fire, it can happen that quickly, Jay. And when you fall in love with what you're doing, you have to be willing to die for what you love. You're already dying for what you don't want. So let's die for what we do want, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, you and Les have changed my life in so many different ways because I know before I met both of you, I was stagnant. Like I was saying, there's so many things I want to do, but I was sitting on the couch wishing them to come to me. You know what I mean? And it's when I met you, both of you, I finally learned, like, you know what? Yeah, it's great to have that vision. It's great to have that dream, but you also have to go out there and achieve it and do your best to go out and get it, right?
That's just like my dating life. I just sit on my couch wishing someone would knock on my door, but I have to go out.
Well, for you, Trish, it's a little bit different.
You just go on your app, Trish. But yes, you're so right, Jay. In Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about the state of mind cannot simply be mere hoping and wishing, right? It must be belief. We have to believe it. And then what, Jay? Massive. What I tell all my clients, this requires you to take massive daily action and track what you're doing. You have to track what you're doing each and every day.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, review your day, rethink, did I do things today that are in alignment with the person that I say that I am? And which non-productive activities can I eliminate tomorrow? And which money-making activities did I work on today? And then, but again, you always have to have a goal, Jay. We always have to know where we're going. And then if you're saying that after you write this out, your goal card, and then you write it out 10 times a day and you're doing certain things and you're not inspired and you're saying I'm stuck or I don't have any passion, it's the wrong goal, right?
Yeah.
It's the wrong goal. Because Jay, when you love helping people, and it was a true honor to have you in the course and to have you on the Power Voice Summit so that people could hear your voice. You and Trish are sharing your voices to impact and change the world. And so that requires us to take massive action.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jon. And so now, unless Trish, did you have anything else you wanted to say before I switch gears for a second?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So right now we're about to switch gears to a very famous segment that we all love to call the...
You have now entered the hot seat.
The hot seat, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, Jon, you wiped your brow. So yes, that is correct, my friend. You are in the hot seat today.
All right, bring it, Jay. What do we got? What do we have?
So the question is, if you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Wow.
Wow, great one. Well, first one would be Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
For what he stood for, right? Equality and justice for all. Dr. Martin Luther King. Why? Because he had a dream and he was willing and he did die for that dream. But he saw in everyone, not color, but greatness in everybody, right? And the third person would be, for me, Jay, I know, again, I'll go back to probably Tom Brady, right? It's just the dedication, the discipline, and the focus.
Yeah.
And I believe he is the embodiment of somebody who understands that you don't need to compete with what's out there. You compete with being a better version of himself. And when he works on himself each and every day, he makes those teammates around him better. Yes, they have an ultimate goal of winning the championships. And you see, doesn't matter which team he plays for, right? He stays laser focused and he's disciplined. And it's, again, back to that belief that anything's possible. Age is just energy, right? It's just a number. So those would be the three, Jay.
Okay. Oh, bonus question. Would you
All
have
right.
dinner? Would you have dinner with them separately, or would it be at one big table together?
Oh no, I'm gonna go one at a time, Jay, so I get more time with
More time
each
with
of them.
them. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome.
Um,
Trish, I believe you've answered this question before, but who would you have dinner with? Who are your three people?
I don't know. That's such a tough question. I love so many people.
Right.
The first person that came to mind for me was Maya Angelou.
Oh, okay.
Um, I just love hearing her speak and just listening to her. And I look at a lot of YouTube videos with her interviews. It's
Hmm.
just so inspiring to me.
Yeah.
I really, really, there isn't many women who's moved me by listening to them, and she's one of those women.
Hmm.
Um, Next would probably be, let's see, Michael Jackson. I just need some of those moves. I would love for him to teach me some dance moves, like just get it from directly from him. That's what I would love. Like
You're supposed to
just
be eating dinner, not having him dance for you. It wasn't dinner in a show.
listen, Michael Jackson would want to dance, okay? He's that
Fair
person.
enough. Fair
He
enough.
would
Fair
want
enough.
to. And third, I would say my grandfather.
Okay.
I think he wrote a couple books, but I there's conversations that I wish I had with him to learn more about my heritage and learn more about his family, because I don't know much about my great grandparents. So and he traveled to India and he did so many things within our community that I don't know a lot of. So I would really like to sit down and listen to his experiences. He was born, I think, in 1910, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So
Right.
just to hear his stories, I would have just loved to sit down and have a conversation with him about that.
Okay. I like all those. All right.
Mhm.
For me, as you said, there's a lot of people I would love to have dinner with,
Mhm.
but if I could, it would be, as John said, Dr. Martin Luther King would definitely be one.
Yeah.
I would like to have Malcolm X, and then probably Muhammad Ali. I think those
Mhm.
three, and I would have them at one table because I would like to hear them. I wouldn't even say no. I would just like to hear them discuss and
Go at
talk
each
about the
other.
things. Yeah,
You know
I
who
would
would
just
be a
love to hear
really
that
good
conversation.
person to? Barack Obama. I would really love to like.
Oh yeah, that could be a
Yeah,
really good one.
Trish, you can't. You're filling up your table, Trish. That's
I
four.
know. That's what I told you. I can't pick three. I wouldn't be able to.
All right, so John, I want to be very respectful of your time because I know you are a very busy individual. But before I let you go, where can our listeners connect with you if they want to get more coaching, counseling, and learning more about paradigm shifting?
Sure, that would be great. They can go to my website, jontalarico.com, or they can send an email in, Jay, to support@jontalarico.com. Or actually, they can use support@jontalarico.com. That's the best way to get in touch.
Great.
All right, thank you everyone for tuning in. Remember, regardless of what situation you are in life, you have the option, you have the choice to change it.
Yes.
Everyone, this is Jay,
Take care, everyone.
Trish,
Thank you.
John.
Thank you, John.
We'll catch you later.